Truly, the real you loves you. 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 Truly.
Truly, 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 truly. All right. Truly, the real you loves you because truly, the real you is.
Love.
Okay, she was late. The real you is love. Hello and good afternoon, good evening, we might say, to all of you out here in these digital communities. Welcome to tonight show of Truly Live, episode 15. My name is Oliver Blue, and her name is,
Yaulanda.
and we're the OK Blues, and we are so delighted to be your digital certified coaches for this next hour. We're so happy you've joined us. And we'd like to give a special shout out tonight to our Instagram family, which we're actually broadcasting live on Instagram tonight. So welcome all of you out there in that community. And thank you for joining us. If you're not familiar with this 7 o'clock hour on Friday night, well, you can become familiar with it because for the past 15, 16 weeks, Yaulanda and I have been sitting here each night on Friday at 7 o'clock, bringing inspiration, transformation, information, and empowerment to all these digital communities through teaching transformational principles. And we're just so happy that we're able to come into the Instagram space tonight. And we welcome all of you to sit here for an hour, grab your favorite beverage, a very comfortable seat. You may even want to bring a pen and paper because this is an informative hour. I mean, we really all learn together.
Yes.
And we've learned some exciting things these last 16 weeks, some things that have helped all of us to grow personally. And we're so excited to be just a part of it. And so, how are you doing tonight?
I am good.
Great. And what we always love to do at the beginning of our broadcast is give a little special shout out. Tonight, we want to give a special shout out to our patrons.
Yes.
And
say welcome.
And say welcome to our patrons. And our patrons are special to us.
Get our chats up, sweetheart.
Yeah, you want the chats?
Yes, let's get the comments going.
All right, let's get the comments going. We got somebody. Oh,
there's our super Patreon.
Our super patron, Bob and Carol.
Hi guys.
Penman.
So good to see you. We have our comfort. I can't really hold him correctly because of my injury, but got my little comfort bird.
You need that comfort bird tonight. You've needed that comfort bird this week, right?
No. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
So I can't hold him correctly because of my. But we will do this again where we have him on. We've got him with us. Thank you guys so much. Beautiful. Absolutely adore him.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Bob. You guys are the greatest people.
We'll be sending you
in our orbit.
Yeah.
We'll be sending you.
Got to get out and get a different thank you. I'm a little been just a little bit impeded here,
Yes, we got a great visit from you guys this week, and we
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes.
We
Yes.
appreciate that, and I hope you guys are doing great up there in Indiana.
Indiana.
All right, that's our friends Bob and Carol, all the way from Indiana. We also have Hazel that just joined us. Hello, Hazel. How you doing?
Hi, Hazel.
All right, and if you're out there, we like to know that you're out there. This show is based on a conversation, and we like interaction. So put in the chat that you're there. Just let us know you're there. We'd like to give you a special shout out, and also let us know where you are tuning in from. Yeah, Bob and Carol said they are wonderful. You sure are wonderful.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
You are wonderful and a whole lot more, and we certainly appreciate your support and your friendship.
Yes.
And so, if you're out there, let us know where you're tuning in from, and we'd love to give you a special shout out. We also like to get a special shout out to all you Carolina Panther fans. We'd like to give a shout out to all the Carolina Panther fans tonight,
Cam Newton is back.
because yes, the face of the franchise have reappeared, and I think I've never seen so much buzz around a trade, and
Oh goodness, I see that I've already I already have an error.
that's okay.
It's my I'm not able to type like I
Yeah,
normally
yeah,
would.
that's okay.
So,
A lot of buzz here in North Carolina, South Carolina about Cam Newton returning to the Carolina Panthers, because he was the face of the Panthers for so many years, and I love to see and hear about redemption stories. And this is a redemption story, so we are for you, Cam.
well, I like that he was whenever they made a touchdown that he would give the winning ball,
To the kids.
touchdown bit,
Yes.
to one of the kids.
Oh,
I thought it
absolutely,
was very
absolutely. He built that franchise into a community franchise, and
We used to go to the Panther games.
we used to go to a
frequently.
lot of Panther
Yeah, we
games,
sure did.
and we sat out in the rain one night. I remember,
And we went to sleep. It was
and we
cold.
went to sleep. It was cold. It was raining. It was wet.
We got a blanket. We
Yeah.
purchased a blanket. We got
We-
hot chocolate.
we
We,
were on-
put our heads together. We went to sleep.
We were on end zone seats. I
Yeah,
remember.
Yeah. We had end zone seats.
Wow. Yeah, that was a
And,
long time
It
ago.
was a while ago,
Yeah,
but we used to go to quite a few of them. So it was a beautiful stadium.
a beautiful stadium. So we want to welcome all of our patrons. Also, we want to welcome our Facebook family, our Twitter family, and also our YouTube family. We're broadcasting live on all of those platforms, and we are happy and grateful for that.
Mhm.
Speaking of being happy and grateful, if you've been around us anytime, you know that we are two birds of gratitude.
Oh, we're birds of gratitude.
Well, tonight, since we got our comfort
Oh boy.
bird, we're going to be birds tonight.
Okay.
So we love the fact that we have the opportunity each day to be happy and grateful and thankful
That
For-
we choose to be.
that we choose to be. We're just thankful for the whole experience. We're thankful for each day that we can arise and choose how we want to show up in the world. It's a choice. We found out many, many years ago that it is a choice, that we don't have to live by the default. We don't have to live by our feelings, our emotions, our external circumstances, conditions. We don't have to live by historical patterns, that we could create our own life. And we choose to always start our day and always start this show, Truly Live, with the statement or with statements of gratitude. And we invite you to also share in the chat something that you are happy and something that you're grateful for. And there's so much to be happy and grateful for.
Yes, there is.
Okay. So she's doing the technician,
Well,
technical things
it
tonight
took-
with one hand.
it
She's
took
trying to
me
work with that
3
left hand.
and it took me 3 turns to finally get it working.
You're not as efficient, are
Well,
you,
it's okay.
with that left hand?
Listen, it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
doing so good. I've got Carol's statement up. She said, "We are grateful for our living in oneness with God and our fellow men." Yes, we agree with you.
We're
Carol.
totally in agreement with you there, Carol.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if there's any other gratitude statements. Just put them out there. What did Hazel say?
Hazel said, "I'm grateful to have had 2 days off."
Wow.
Outstanding.
I can imagine.
Hazel.
I remember Hazel when I was in that corporate working community. To have one day off was a blessing, or to have a day off and not have to work while you're off. That was truly a blessing.
It was truly a blessing. Hey, you didn't do your due diligence up there.
Oh, I didn't?
We're both the same. There too.
Okay, we've gone off of YouTube. I mean, we've gone off of Instagram.
But I was talking about here. You didn't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you got any other statements of gratitude, just put them in the chats. We love to share them. And
I'm happy and grateful that I got to spend a little time with our grandson. I drove down to hang out with him on this past Saturday.
Absolutely.
And came right back. And he just continues to fascinate. So
absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Get my comments back up.
You want your comments back? Okay.
I didn't want that one yet. I want a different one.
All right. Hang on 1 second as
All right, here.
Yes. And we're good now?
Yes.
All right. So tonight we want to move to our next segment. We always like to kickstart the program with some type of inspiration or encouragement. And tonight,
I get you.
Tonight we have one of my favorites on the planet. And we're going to use a quote that came from one of his bestsellers. And when I mention this book, all of you should recognize the title of the book. So tonight, our inspiration is coming from one of my mentors that I never met, but had a profound impact on my life, especially as a manager and learning how to manage things. So because he taught me that you don't manage people.
You manage things.
You lead people and you manage things.
So so we went to, I didn't go to as many of them as you did, but we went to some of his organizational meetings.
Right.
And so he was never one of the speakers
at
those. Oh, okay.
No. We never got on the big stage. We never went to the big stage events. Okay. Yes. But tonight, our inspiration and encouragement quote is from Dr. Stephen R. Covey, who authored the New York bestseller, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
And then that whole franchise.
And then a whole series of books came after that. But he would played a very, very instrumental role in my life back when I was early in my management career, when I was all of a sudden put in a position to be responsible for human resources and for resources. And I really, even after having a 4-year college degree, I really didn't have what I would call a management style or leadership style. And lo and behold, I was led to read his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that book became the foundation for my learning personal development, improvement, and how to have right relationships and understanding principles and paradigms. And that's where I got my start.
So refresh my memory. Was this was the leadership training courses, was that before or after the organizational? Because remember, it all started from, I thought it started from the organizational, the Franklin Covey.
Right. It started from the Franklin Covey planners. Yeah. And then from there, I
went to some
training and then really got into his work and got into his way of leadership.
Yeah.
And
I got to sit in on a number of those.
Absolutely.
It was life-changing.
So I basically developed my leadership style after the principles that were presented in his work. And tonight, for our quote, you want to read the quote?
Yes. He says, to learn and not to do is really not to learn. To know and not to do is really not to know.
And those are very two profound statements because it's true. Just for us to hear wisdom and hear principles and hear best practices and not to take uh, any action on them is, we said it's what, just kind of like, it's just entertainment.
Yeah.
To learn and not to really do what you learn is not to learn. We haven't really learned. And to know and not to really um, do what we know, it's not knowing.
Mhm.
It's all about having a direct experience with the knowledge. And without the direct experience, we really don't know. We just have information, or
that
we've
was
been entertained.
That was a statement that resonated with us because we had grown up in the church, and one of the scriptures says that faith without works
Faith without works is dead. That's right.
Meaning that your faith is not activated if you're not actually doing anything.
If we're not practicing.
I put this one up because your brother is on. Hi, Harold.
Oh, my goodness.
Life is beautiful.
Hey, how you doing, Harold? Guys, this is my younger brother, and oh my goodness.
And my brother in love.
And my brother in love.
He's my brother in love.
Yeah, he's your brother in love.
Yeah.
And life is beautiful, Harold.
Life
and
is
so
beautiful.
happy you're joining us tonight.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for being with us. I feel even more excited that he's in our present. But yeah, Stephen Covey. In fact, I'm gonna put the book up. So this is our actual featured book tonight too. If you haven't heard, or if you haven't experienced the reading of this book,
try to get it where there's not such a reflection.
Yes, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this book was written, boy, in the early it would have been in the early 80s. Would have been in the early 80s that this book was written, but it went on to be a New York Time bestseller, along with all the sequences that came after that. And again, my first introduction into the transformation community was through this work and through the work of Stevie R. Covey. And
this copy was done in 1989.
89. Okay. Well, that's a reprint. It's not the original.
Yeah. This one was.
But
and we use this. To mentor our children. We did this because they have the 7 habits of highly effective families, and it was highly effective marriages,
highly effective children,
highly effective teens.
Yes.
So we used all of those. We did the workbook. We did the journals with the teens. We actually taught that in youth ministry.
Yes.
We went through and did that. So we use this. We use this.
The principles are universal.
Yeah.
And
I think we did all of his books.
We did all of the books.
The 8th Habit, Living the 7 Habits.
I got them all right there.
Yeah, we did them all.
So if you don't have this book in your,
and if you're in a position where you manage
people,
manage time,
people, resources,
you manage resources. It's the Principle Centered Leadership was one of the books that we used for that.
Yes.
And I really loved his First Things First.
Yes.
That was
First Things First. Mm-hmm. And again, great book. If you don't have it in your library, if you're all about self-improvement, or not necessarily self-improvement, you can improve
expansion.
If you're about
growth,
improving your skill sets,
yes,
and your awareness,
yes,
and your effectiveness,
yes,
and that is a great resource for that. Because, like I said, when I first got started in management, you go to college 4 years. They don't teach you really managerial skills, or it's all theory. But the one statement that he made in this book that was so profound and changed my life was he said that you don't manage people, you manage things.
Mm-hmm.
We lead people. and that changed my whole perception
Mhm.
on being
And then we
a
found out,
manager and a leader.
yeah, and then we discovered as a result of reading those books and practicing that we inspire our children
We
because
inspire them. That's right.
we had already had the experience of not being able to get them to make them do what we
Right.
wanted them to do.
Right.
We had experience with that. And we were like, we don't know what to do.
Listen, yeah, we were having children. I was being promoted into on my job and beginning to take leadership roles, and I still didn't have all the skill sets I needed. And I'm telling you, I mean, we developed almost our whole life around the 7 habits.
we were using scriptures, and it was so much in line with that
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
And we were using around that time there were a lot of things that came. Miles Monroe had his book about
The purpose.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we might even do a series on the 7 habits, and maybe consider it in the future, because they are all like we say, universal principles, and they're timeless, and they still work today. So get that book if you don't have it, and you'll be glad you did.
Wow, listen, Carol I'm going to put this up. Carol said, loved your patron letter. And we do. We get to send out letters to our patrons. She said, amazing mother, you have Oliver. Her picture inspires us and is on our bulletin board by our computer. Love her shoes. They were neat shoes, weren't they? And as a matter of fact, we have to give a shout out to Grandma Blue. We know
she's on tonight. So mother, hello from your beloved son and your beloved daughter-in-law, Yaulanda. Yes. We know you're listening, and so we're just...
I'm going to give a shout out to my dad. He's not listening because he's not technically savvy, and that's okay. But I'm going to give a shout out to my dad because he was having just a few challenges. And so, hey, Pops. All right. What else have we got here?
Okay, so it's really time for us to move into our Truly Life lesson for tonight. And if you have been with us the last 3 weeks, you know that this is actually week 4. We have not finished this subject, and our plans are to finish it tonight. And we lost our Instagram audience. We got to get that right. But anyway, if you've been with us for the last 3 weeks, you know that we've been doing a series on, started out talking about the condition itself.
Yes.
And then we moved from talking about the conditioned self. Basically, the conditioned self is the self that we made through being conditioned by from the day we were born, being mentored by the relationships we were a part of, the families we were in, the communities we were in,
the experiences
we had.
All of these have shaped how we think, how we believe, and how we view not just ourselves, but how we view the world.
Yes. And so we ended up becoming something else other than what we were when we first came into the world. Because when we first came into the world, we was almost just, I would say, like a clean slate, and all we knew was innocence. That's all we knew.
We actually knew everything. we actually knew absolutely everything.
That's true.
We just came here not being able to communicate that everything yet.
That's correct. Yeah. And before we could make up our own minds about things, we were being taught ways of being,
we could express our own minds,
ways of being, ways of thinking, ways of knowing, ways of expressing, and a lot of those conditioning were not according to our true self or realities.
It does not allow us to express the deep love that is in all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of it was steeped in fear, and it wasn't steeped in love. And then those conditioning led into what we call in this transformational world community, the term we use is paradigms.
Yes.
And paradigms are no more than an accumulation of that conditioning, which turn into patterns and habits that we develop as a result of the conditioning, and we started
and
okay,
beliefs
and belief systems.
that not just drive us but imprison
It
us.
beliefs that imprisoned us. They gave us a sense of limitation.
Yes.
They instill fear in us. It's just all of the things that we as humans beings, being raised, in a family, in a community, not necessarily always based on truth, but it's based on the knowing that the people that were mentoring and training us had.
Yes.
So it's very limited.
Yes.
It's very limited, and so.
But now we're in a time where
Yes.
there is so much information and knowledge that is available without you having to necessarily go to a school or a doctor or all the places that we thought
Absolutely.
we had to go before.
Absolutely.
But there really is a lot of information. There is also the information that's out there that can seriously, put us out there too.
Yeah, work against your what's in your best interest. So we started the first 2 weeks talking about that what we call the conditioned self, and then we talked about those habits and those patterns of thinking became buried in our subconscious, and these were the beliefs that were actually making the decisions for us.
Yes.
And it may not be in our conscious awareness, but they were in our subconscious because
they drive how it is that we so it drives how it is that we think about ourselves.
Yes.
And then that's how we actually see the world.
Yes, absolutely. And then I gave you a little personal testimony that by the time I was in my late 20s, I had this strong desire to know, have a greater awareness about who I was and about what life was all about. And that all came from within me.
Yes.
And it was during that encounter that I discovered that there was a much better way.
Yes.
And there was a much greater me.
Yes.
And as a result of that, it put me on a path that I've been on since age 29 of discovering my true self, becoming comfortable in my own skin, and learning what life is about and how it works.
Yes.
Because if you don't know how a thing works, even though it's there to be a blessing, it can be destructive to you.
Yes, it can.
If you don't understand how electricity can be harnessed, right, and transformed,
yes,
into something that is usable,
can be beneficial and useful.
It can be just without any structure. It's very destructive.
It can be very destructive. Yeah.
And so what we've learned in these, Yaulanda and I, 31 years, we've been studying transformation, spirituality.
We've been studying together,
practicing it, studying it. We said at one point, we came to a point where we realized we didn't know anything.
Yes.
And we were willing to let go or release what we did know.
We acknowledged that we didn't know anything because what we realized was what we knew was not serving our desire that we had for our marriage, our children, our family. I in the back of my mind, I kept saying, I don't want to ruin my children. I don't want to ruin my children. I don't want to ruin my children. That's not a good motivation.
Not a good motivation.
To not ruin.
Yeah.
What I really wanted and didn't know how to express was how I wanted them to grow into their authentic self. And to be able to express themselves.
Yes.
And to teach them how to be critical thinkers, and to come to the point they understood why it is that they were understanding what. But I didn't want to violate them. I didn't want to violate them, but I didn't know how to do that. I mean, I knew a lot about what I didn't want to do, but I was like, okay, how do I do this? So I was a huge reader, and I was, I'm one of those best practices people.
Yes.
So I was trying stuff, and I was, we're having these conversations with Oliver. And, so we agreed that we're going to try this out with the kids, and, we had 3. And so, it might work on one or two, but wouldn't get all three. And then we were like, okay, all three of them are so different. And so anyway, so things would be working, it would be working good. And I'd say, okay, Oliver, let's try this. He's like, why? This is working so good. Why do we have to do something else? And I was like, the one thing that we have to do with our children is to get them accustomed to change.
Yes.
Because that's the one thing that is going to constantly be going.
Yes.
So we're like, we have to try
Yes.
and give them the opportunity to see what works for them.
Yes. And if any of you out there are parents, and I'm sure most of you are,
Many of you maybe.
yeah, you know the strong pull of culture as you are trying to introduce, your next generation to principles to be that that are there to work for them, so that they can learn how life works, and that we don't fight against life itself, because life is so orderly that without some type of structure, life becomes unmanageable. And so anyway, how did we get on that?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're supposed to be talking about
hi to the blue, to our blue clan.
A blue clan, yeah.
Our blue clan. We love our people too.
We love our people.
Yeah,
yes. So tonight is we're going to finish up this series by finishing up the list that we started last week. We're talking about how to now shift paradigms, how to replace old patterns and habits of thinking and ways of being.
Because it's not just enough to know that there's a problem.
That's right.
So there needs to be, and so what happens is we just haven't developed skill sets to be able to address the things that we want to do.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So, and there was a gentleman by the name, I think, Viktor Frankl. And he made a very profound statement.
Victor was in a concentration camp.
He was in a concentration camp.
His family had been there.
Yes.
And they had all been killed.
They had all been killed, and he was in a concentration camp, and he had to make a decision about the rest of his life.
Yes.
And
because they were wanting to take his wedding band.
Right.
That already, his wife was no longer living.
They were trying to really take everything away from him that gave him any sense of identity.
Yes.
And but it was in that time and in that moment that he discovered that in between, there was a space where before you made a decision, there was a space where you could, pause and be very intentional about what you're going to do, who you're going to be.
Yes.
And it was there that he discovered and made this profound statement that the problems that we face cannot be solved with the same level of thinking that we were thinking when we created the problems. They would take a higher level of awareness in order to solve problems that we face. And so it was all about the thinking. He learned it was all about how he was thinking, and that he could overcome even that depressing situation that he was in. And he went on to become a great writer of personal development.
Since you brought him up, I'm going to read two of his quotes. He said, everything, this is the Viktor E. Frankl. He said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So incredibly profound.
Cannot be taken from humanity.
Cannot be taken.
That's right.
And then he said, what you're speaking of, he says, between stimulus and response,
there's a space. And in that
space is our power to choose our response.
Yes.
Yeah. He said, in our response lies our growth and our freedom.
Yes.
That's Victor, Viktor. His middle initial is E, and his last name is Frankl, Frankl. He was just he had a number of profound teachers. So we get our inspiration from a lot of different places.
A lot of different places, and he's
I
one
love
of them.
that one by Victor. Yeah.
And that's a
So
good,
that's another one that we used.
yeah, and that's a good place, because what we're talking about is how we can practice, what practices can we engage in order to install new paradigms,
Yes.
install new way of being, new ways of thinking that are in service to our true self, and that's in service to the life that we love to experience. And he said, in between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space, we talked about the space last week. We said one of the first practices is to pause.
Mhm.
And in that space, he says that therein lies our power to choose. The power to choose. That's what can never be taken from any human being, regardless of the external conditions, circumstance, or situation. Even history can't keep a individual that has awakened to this reality. Even their history cannot keep them in that place or state of being suppressed,
Yes.
because life is always experienced in the mind and through the mind. So when you understand that we have, as individual selves, we have the power to choose. Oh my God. We have the power to choose our direction. We have the power to choose how we show up every day and in every moment in the world. We can be happy in every situation. I don't care how horrid it may appear on the outside. I don't care how devastating it may seem to be. In that moment, you have the power to choose how you have that experience, and how that experience uh, affects you. And so, as we finish up tonight talking about other practices that you can engage in that can help you to reinstall or install a new paradigm, install new ways of thinking and being in your personal life, the pause is always the place to start. And we talked about that last week. And then we also talked about awareness, meaning noticing what you're noticing. And then we talked about taking an assessment. Where are you in this present moment? What are your belief systems? What are your perceptions? What is your view of yourself and of others?
That assessment is like the pause.
That assessment is part of the pause.
Yeah.
But we pause to take the assessment.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we talked about getting clarity on what you would love. And we always like to reinforce that very empowering question of what. We spoke this many times, that what is a high level empowering question.
Yes.
So we ask ourselves the question, what would you love? You've assessed your situation, but what would you love?
Mm-hmm.
That situation is a result of decisions you made in the past. So now you understand that it is your power to choose the experience that you have in the future. I remember you've said many times, I'm going to have a different experience.
I am going to have a different experience.
You pause, you took an assessment, you ask yourself, what would you love? And you say, you didn't say, I'm not having that decision. You said, I'm having a different decision.
It came from the same thing happening over and over and over
Right.
again. And there being this high level of frustration. And it was just incredibly draining. And I kept saying, this is not what I want. This is not what I want. However, I didn't know what I was going to do. But then when I took the pause, I realized I don't have to know.
Right.
All I have to do is be clear about what it was that
Right.
I wanted.
And you didn't have to know the how, is
No, I
what
did
you're
not
saying.
have
You
to
put
know
the
the
how
how.
on hold.
I did. So what I was clear on is that I'm having a different experience.
Yes. You didn't even get involved with the why.
No. I said I'm having a different experience. Right. I wanted an empowering, loving, gentle, kind, experience. I wanted to feel expansive. I didn't want to continue to feel constricted. And of course, this was around people that I love. And so I kept saying to you when things kept coming, and it was all kinds of things that because it was the same patterns that kept
Same
coming in.
patterns, your paradigms.
It's
Right.
just well, it wasn't even me. It was the other people that were involved as well.
Right.
But I chose not to participate. So I just
Well,
I
you
didn't
chose a
respond.
different response.
I chose not to respond. I just because
So-
normally I'm like, well, that wasn't really
Right.
what happened. That really wasn't what was said. And then I just wasn't doing.
So the
any of that.
power to choose was your path out.
Yes.
And so that comes in the form of making different decisions.
Yes.
Or being intentional about how you show up,
Yes.
how you interact, how you're thinking now, what your perceptions are.
It was helpful that I could come to you and say, I am having this different experience, which was letting him know,
Yes.
okay, it's it's not smooth sailing
Oh,
here.
it let me know
but-
game on.
But I looked at him, and what I did was I reaffirmed with him that I am having a different experience. I was no longer at I'm going to have.
And
I kept saying I am having a different experience, and it turned out to be entirely different. I was like, whoa, this is so much better.
And you know what I said under my breath?
What did you say?
About time. I said it's about time.
I was so ready.
But you guys know,
Yeah,
hey, look,
yeah.
all of us have lived with things that we know, patterns that we know. A lot of it came just from habits, or just from seeing someone else doing and being a certain way. And we just picked up on it, and but we knew it wasn't working for us, and it brought great pain. And so the only way out of pain is to make a different decision. It's change.
Yeah.
Remember last week we talked about change your thoughts, change your world, change your life.
Right.
And the good news is you don't have to pay for it. The power to choose
Is
is
available
to everyone
to every being
at all times.
At all times.
It can't be taken from you. I mean, they can lock you up in the deepest dungeon.
So this brings about the Nelson Mandela was in the same type of situation.
Yes.
Where he was imprisoned.
For 20 something years.
For such a long time. But he so he could have felt he could have felt like he was a victim.
He could have felt victim to his external circumstances.
And he could have sat there all those for those decades. He could have sat in that prison, and he could have become so bitter and so angry. And but he decided.
But instead,
he decided that was not in his best interest.
That was not in his best interest. So he chose to use that time to create, or to rethink, or to reinstall new vision, new paradigms, new ways of seeing, thinking, and being that was in service to a life that he would love to live.
Yes.
And 20 something years later, he became the very head of that nation.
Yes.
And did not hold any unforgiveness or bitterness towards those who imprisoned him, because he realized that they did not understand what they were doing.
Yes.
And you can only live at the level of your awareness.
Yes.
And so that's why it's
That
essential.
time actually, because of what he did during that time, he actually changed. He changed a what had been an impossible situation, not just for him, but for so many people for so long.
Yes, absolutely. And we got other great figures that had that same path.
But it happens it can happen in our
It happens in all of your
life.
life.
That's what I love about it. Is it can happen with all of us.
Right. If you're going to become a master of your own life.
And we should.
And we
should master our own life.
To become a master, you will go through the portals of having to make huge decisions about not holding grievances, not holding people, places, or things responsible for your current condition, but you own up to your current condition. And that is a part of every master's path.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And not that it's required, but it's just the way the world is. And so then we move on to talk about the gap between where you are and where you desire to be. We know about that gap and navigating that gap. And sometimes you need help. We needed help. had help from day one. We had mentors in our life, and we've always have had mentors in our life, coaches, teachers that has helped us. And so you need to consider, if you need help, you may need a coach, because if you could get yourself out of the results that you're having up to now, you would have
You
happened.
have already done it.
So
Yeah.
so reach out and consider help. Shifting paradigms requires structure, discipline, and vigilance. That's almost like curse words in our culture. To shift your way of being, your way of thinking, your way of knowing, it takes structure, discipline, and vigilance. And
a coach, a mentor, a teacher, someone who's a guide. Those people can help us to see the blocks that
Yes.
are in us. And what happens is sometimes we're so involved and so invested that we can't see
we
the
can't
problem.
see the blocks.
But a lot of people around us can see it just as clearly, but we can't see it
Right.
because we're so
Right.
involved in it.
Right. And then here's the one we didn't talk about last week. Once we've gone through these previous steps, what you want to do really is to ask your inner guide. All of us have an inner guide. All of us have the spirit within us that knows all things. And so when you ask your inner guide for the resources that are perfect for you, such as a coach or a mentor or a teacher or books or
A
programs,
yeah.
There are specific, everything in this, everything that you need for your own evolution, for your own growth and development. It's already here. Don't have to come from anywhere. And your inner self know it. Your inner guide knows what is best for you, what will cause you to grow and to become more aware of your true self, your true purpose. And so in that quietness, you want to ask yourself, what's best for me? What resources are best for me, perfect for me in the different forms? And it comes in so many different forms. And for us, again, we had mentors all our life. We still have them. We've accumulated a huge library.
We invested in a lot of books.
Invested in our own learning.
Yes.
We invested in
mentors.
We paid for mentors.
Yes.
We invested in ourselves. We took programs virtually. We went to live seminars, programs.
Some of that required getting on a plane and flying across the country.
Some of it required getting in an airplane and flying all the way across to California many times, just to get in the place that we can hear what we needed to hear in order to get us to the place that we wanted to be. And eventually it led to our certification as coaches, transformational coaching and teaching transformation. And now that we coach, we teach transformation, we speak in communities, and we teach in different communities as a result of the decisions that you and I made. And so for each individual is different. There's no one shoe that fits it all. So you have to ask yourself, for you and your personal self, your family, your situation, what resources are perfect for me, for my evolution, for my growth, for my development. And yourself will tell you, and it will lead you, or it will show up in your life. People will show up in your life. Opportunities will show up in your life, and as you are in this mode of making different decisions and on a path of improving your skill sets, you will know when these things present themselves to you, and you will say, you have to say yes to them. You have to say yes to them. And you have to invest in yourself, because if you don't invest in yourself, who's going to invest in you? You have to make that decision for yourself.
Yes.
And then finally, we got a list of things here that you can get involved with, that we know are proven practices, because we still are involved with many of these practices ourselves. Um, so always want to consider having a morning practice. You always want to invest in yourself first. And the best way to do that is the first thing in the morning. Always the best time. You all know that. You're clearer, you're fresher.
Well, it's before you
It's
start having the pull and the tug.
and before you have
So, if you plan to do it later, there's generally always something that's
that
going to
gets in the
come
way,
up,
right?
because there's always something that's pulling and
Always
tugging
something.
for your time, your attention.
Yeah. So consider morning practices, and they range from different practices like meditation. Meditation is basically, the word itself means to mutter to oneself.
So that could also be prayer,
That can also be prayer.
meditation, prayer.
It could be quietness, silence. Meditation
Which
don't take one
is the part of prayer that we don't generally practice.
is the silence, yeah.
Is the being quiet so that you
Right.
can hear.
Absolutely. Because if you ask yourself a question, don't you want to hear what self want to convey? So you have to get quiet, right? Because there's a still small voice in all of us. There's a still small voice in all of us, and uh, and we all have intuitive side to us. A place where we contemplate, we consider, we mutter, we it's just a place where we reason. We use all these great faculties that we have as human beings. These all tools that's been given us for the whole purpose of transformation. And so again, practices like meditation, prayer, inspiring reading. Yolanda and I are big readers, and we've always been big readers. And so whatever, practice or whatever writing that you can find that is inspiring to you, and you'll know that it's inspiring because it speaks to your higher self. It doesn't challenge you, but it invites you to go beyond what you have known, what you have experienced, and that's inspiring. It's in spirit, because that word inspire comes from the word spirit. To inspire is to be in spirit, and to be in spirit is to be in life, and to be in life is to be about growth and expansion.
That was good.
You like that?
Yeah, that was good.
All right.
Yeah, that was good.
So inspiring reading.
Mhm.
Another morning practice is journaling. Just simply get a piece of paper and a pencil and write your thoughts. Always keep pen and paper near me, because spirits, when you're in spirit's always sharing nuggets, sharing ideas. They're always flowing.
And it's a way for you to see that there is far more in all of us
Yes,
than we are
far more.
tapping into.
Yes.
Yeah.
And each one of us is a treasure that is infinite.
Mhm.
And it comes to us in the forms of inspiration, ideas, and um, the best way to record them, to capture them, one way is to journal. And Lord, how many books I got?
You got quite a few.
How many books I filled up?
He
And you,
he takes
I
books
takes her
that
books.
I've gotten for something specifically, and he takes it for himself. I'm like, wow.
And I'll fill up a book. I mean, it doesn't take a few weeks.
Yeah.
So journaling
Yes.
is another form of practice that will be helpful. Yoga. You might say yoga. Yoga is very, very good practice for uh, getting in touch, in tune, not only with your spirit, but your soul and your body. And that is a proven practice. And speaking of yoga, It is our intent in 2022 on this show to have as one of our special guests, one of the most, I think, renowned yoga teachers in all of the world to join us. We're working on that, and we'll have that available for you right here on Truly Live. So, yoga, activities that connect you to nature, such as walking or, connected to nature, walking in nature, hiking. These are all things that put you in a space and a place where you are open, right, to new
Yes.
possibilities, new ideas, new way of being, new patterns that you can incorporate in your life that will work in the service of the life that you love to experience. Online programs for transformation. How many programs have I taken online?
Oh boy.
I love taking programs because it's all about growth. I'm so enamored about growing and changing and being my best self. And so I take a lot of online programs. Uh, Another good practice is finding someone that would be a partner in believing with you, someone that inspires you, some friend, some family member or mate or whatever, someone that knows your potential and will always speak to your potential when you don't even see the potential in yourself. So find a partner in believing, someone that you can stand in agreement with, and that is a great practice to have. I'm so blessed to have Yaulanda in my life for the last 31 years. And, with the truth that she knows and have been learning and growing, there's times that I've had where um, I allow circumstances to, get me off my center, and she would always bring me back. And I'm here to do the same for her. So
Yes.
for us, we're both partners and believers for each other. But it doesn't have to be, your spouse, wife. It should be, but just someone that that see you for who you really are and your potential. That's a
Yes.
partner in believing.
And when we are at a point where we are challenged for whatever reason and we can no longer see our way, that partner in believing, that person who believes in you, who knows and sees you, for who you really are, that sees the potential that's in you, that partner will, stand in the gap
Yes,
and remind you of what it is that you've said that your deep desire is, and remind you of how you've already taken steps that have shown you success, and if that has happened before, it can happen again.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally, join a community of people, a community of people that are aspiring to transform their life, transform their results, people that are always on their growing edge. There are many different forms of communities that you could be a part of, not only live but virtually. Faith communities, spiritual communities, just transformation community. It doesn't matter. If people are about growth and expansion, people are about uh, truth and applying that truth to get results in their life that they desire. That is a healthy community. That is a healthy community because they have a vision for not only for their life but for their community and for their world that is expansive and not contractive.
Yes.
So these are not an exhausted list of practices that you can put into place to help shift your paradigms, to help install new ways of being, new ways of thinking. Because without new ways of being, new ways of thinking, we're going to continue to get the same results that we've gotten in
Yes.
the past.
I actually typed all of that up in the chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Good.
and but it's not showing up on. I don't know why, but I do have it here. I'm on YouTube, and it is here on YouTube, but it's not showing up on. Yeah. Anyway, so So that will be there whenever we do the replay.
Wow. Listen, we're already at the top of the hour, man. Where did the time go?
Listen, that's what happens when you're having fun.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight in our Truly Life lesson. This has been a great 4-part series. Hopefully we know we've said some things that can benefit you, that can benefit us. I mean, we've been blessed.
We're encouraged by the stuff that we're sharing as well.
We hear it
And we're
first, we
reminded.
study it,
Yeah.
we prepare it. So we're being blessed by it. And it causes us to make, different decisions in our lives. And we have, we have desires to have different experiences, and we see a future that is full of possibilities. And so we're so excited. We're just so excited for this information that we're sharing with you. And but it's for us first,
because we know that it is life.
We know it's life changing.
Yeah.
It's changing our life. And
Yes.
we got a studio upstairs that is about 75% completed. That hopefully by the 1st of November, we're going to be broadcasting Truly Live show.
1st of November has already passed.
I mean, the 1st of December. In about 2 weeks, we're going to do our first live up there. And we're excited about that. Want you to be a part of, the experience that we're having.
Patreon patrons, we're going to have to go behind the scenes and let you all hear some of the stuff, because this one has just been out there.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's do our Truly Live closing so that we can bless everyone that has joined with us. We thank you all for being here with us, because we enjoy being on this learning journey together. We love being on our growing edge, and increasing our expanding our awareness, and living an expanded life.
Yes.
Okay. So we do the Dalai Lama. Oh, he took the prescription shades off.
I took the prescription shades off. Well, I figured she had to wear an arm brace, and I had to wear my shades tonight. So anyway, I didn't want her to feel alone.
I'm never alone, and I know that. But this is the loving kindness meditation. We bless all of you who join with us, and all those that you hold dear to your heart. This is the blessing that we say. It's his loving kindness meditation, but we do this as a blessing.
Yes.
And so we say, may you be truly happy.
May you live in peace.
May you live in love.
May you know the power of forgiveness.
May you live in the recognition that your life has deep meaning and good purpose. That's the Dalai Lama.
And may you live in the awareness of who you truly are in God.
We extend this blessing to every being that's on the planet.
So thank you so much tonight. And again, thank you for being a part of Truly Live. If you'd like to go deeper and become partners with us, you can go to www.patreon.com/Truly Live and subscribe as a patron to this show.
And please like
and please like and share on
and
YouTube.
On
YouTube,
Facebook,
share on Facebook,
Twitter.
if you're there. Because if you think this information is valuable, don't you want your friends to hear?
Yes.
Don't you want your family to hear? So please like and share. And again, if you want to become a part of this expanded, exciting, adventurous way of being and living, be partners with us by going to www.patreon.com/Truly Live and sign up to become a patron. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We're going to leave you tonight with our
Comfort Bird.
Thank you, Carol and Bob. We'll see you next week.
We love you all.
We love you all. My name is Oliver.
I'm Yaulanda.
And we're the OK Blues. Bye-bye.